Hello, everybody. You're very welcome to a new on location, even though I'm remote, conversation for RSAC Conference. It's the 2026 version. A few conferences have come and gone. This one's coming up around the corner, and I'm thrilled to have Ed Skoudis on. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Sean?
Good. I'm doing well as well, and or great as well. And yeah, this has become a tradition to have a chat with you and talk about all the cool stuff that you're doing at RSA with respect to SANS.
Sure.
And this is a session that it's a hit every year. It's first come, first serve, standing room only, and yeah, it's one you don't want to miss. And I'm always thrilled and honored to have you on to talk about all the good stuff you're doing with the team there. I'm always appreciative of the work you do for the community. So, for folks who, I don't know how they don't know you, but you're missing your hat, by the way. Normally,
I often don't wear my hat for these kind of interviews. It's a controversial thing. So yeah, I mean, I could go get it, but I think we're good. Sometimes I wear a Santa hat around December. Sometimes I wear my white hat. But yeah, I sometimes speak with my hat on, but usually not.
Right. Well, there's a good chance they might see you at the conference with the hat, but we have you without the hat. But anyway, my point is, if they don't know you, they should meet you and say hi. And for now, if you can just tell folks a few words about who you are, what you're up to, the work you do, the stuff with SANS you have going on.
Yep. So I'm Ed Skoudis. I'm the president of the SANS Technology Institute. I've been with SANS 27 years now. I was a SANS instructor for 21 years. I wrote the #1 selling SANS course, which is SANS Security 504 on incident handling and hacker attacks. That is associated with the GCIH certification. I also wrote SANS Premier Class on network penetration testing, SANS Security 560, which is the one associated with GPEN. I run the team that builds cyber ranges for SANS, including NetWars, as well as our free holiday hack range. In addition to that, I also have a company called CounterHack. We build those ranges for SANS, but we also do penetration testing. So I have 18 penetration testers who work for me, and we work on trying to be the best pen test company we can be. Best pen tests in the world is what we're aiming for. So I'm also serving on the board of a couple of charities and our bank, Manasquan Bank, our local bank. And it's been great. It's great to talk with you again every year, Sean. It really is.
No, I appreciate it, Ed. And so the purpose of this is twofold. It's a session that I think folks should attend, which is why I love having you on. And the content is great, which is why it's a good session to attend. And the title of the session is the 5 most dangerous new attack techniques, so crucial tips for defenders.
Yep.
And it's that last part that I'm really interested in. Mm-hmm. But first, I'm going to try to twist your arm to say what the 5 are.
Well, we are under an embargo.
I'm joking.
Thank you. RSAC as well as SANS has a strict media embargo on what the top 5 are until I think when we stand up on stage, they have to wait 5 minutes and then it all gets released. Because, we want to build some excitement and want people to actually attend to hear the thing live and hear the questions and answers. But I can talk about general trends. I can talk about how we put the panel together and what we take into account. There's just so much going on in our industry, and it's super exciting. And these 4 panelists are absolutely brilliant. They've got their finger on the pulse of where things are headed. It is an honor to be able to host them here. They're all amazing SANS instructors, and I just can't go over the specifics. I will tell you this. We have 5 topics. We got 4 panelists, so that means somebody gets to do 2. And this year, it will be Joshua Wright, who is doing 2.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Well, very good. Well, let's so much, even though we can't talk about the 5, there's so much to talk about. And where do I start? Let's talk about how you pull the 5 together. What is the catalyst behind something landing on the top 5 list?
I start with who and not what. It's like, who's really got some good and interesting things to say, who can really help people, who has access to lots and lots of SANS authors, instructors, students. I like to have people up on the stage that you could take a class from. So if you really like them and learn from them, you can take a class there. So we go through who and we brainstorm, who's done it in the past. We try to get some new blood in there, but we also like to have some folks that you've seen before and know before. So this year, for the first time on this stage with this SANS panel is going to be Robert M. Lee from Dragos. He's amazing. One of the best ICS people in the world. He's got such great stuff to say, and people really listen to what he has to say. Rob Teeley is coming back. He was there last year. He's coming back this year. Heather's been up there about 10 years now with us. And Joshua Wright, last year was his first year, so this will be his second year. So I start out with who, and then we brainstorm. And we start this 6 months in advance. So this is about 5.5 months ago. Just what are you seeing? What are you thinking? They come to me with ideas. They bounce ideas off each other. There's a little bit of infighting. Like, your topic's too close to mine. You're stepping on my toes. This way, that way. How do you massage the topics? And then, this year I changed the title up every year a little bit with, cooperation from our friends at RSAC and, that idea of crucial tips for defenders. I added that this year to push the panelists to say, look, it's fun and interesting to talk about attacks, but we have to be practical. Mm-hmm. What are crucial tips that defenders can directly apply? We don't want to just say, hey, here's something for you to think about. Here's something to watch for. It's what do you do about it? What actions can you take? And then I want those actions to be practical, implementable. So, and then also appeal for action orientation across everybody from CISO at the high level to individual practitioner to say, not only do I know this thing, now I'm asking these panelists to do all of this in 6 minutes. Right. So we want the problem, what the attackers are doing with it, how it's evolving, where it's headed, and practical tips for defenders that appeal from individual practitioner up to the CISO level. That's all I asked for, and you've got 6 minutes. And
easy task.
Yeah. So, and then we refine and juggle and this and that. It was even just 2 weeks ago that we had two of the panelist talks that were so similar that we had to kind of figure out a way that we could make them individual trends and separately actionable. Also, I do like it when sometimes there's contradiction on the panel. Yeah. Somebody says X, somebody else says Y, and you might say, well, SANS, get your act together. Is it X or Y? And the truth is, there's an argument to be made for X and an argument to be made for Y. We're going to try to make them at least consistent so you can address both of those, right? It's not fully X, it's not fully Y. It's going to be some combination of the two, but we have an advocate for X and an advocate for Y. And I tell the panelists when we're on the stage, if you disagree with something someone else says, you can respectfully respond to that. It's got to be respectful. We're all friends, but that makes for great TV and it makes for great, intellectual, because we're a community and we're trying to contribute to the community. So, but look for actionable things you can do. And I talk with all these panelists. Josh had a topic where he's like, "This is a really big problem. It's really bad. I don't have any practical solutions for people on this." So it's like, okay, now we brainstorm. What can we come up with? What practically could people do? And sometimes it might be that there's no prevention technique for something, but there's a detection and response set of actions you could take. So,
some other mitigating capabilities,
So you can't stop it from happening. But if it does happen, here's how you can figure it out that it is happening and stop it fast while it's happening. So some things are along those lines. But wherever we can have a prevention tip and technique, we do. And RSAC pushes us on that. They're like, this can't just be, intellectual navel gazing. The people have to come back with a actionable set of things. And I always take notes. I tell the audience to take notes. We publish a thing with what we consider notes for it at the SANS website within 10 or 15 minutes of the event itself. We work hard on this. We really do, Sean. And we want it to, we don't want to take it for granted that we're able to do this every year. We've been 10 years on the big stage now. Mm-hmm. We don't want to take it for granted. We want it to be practical. We want it to be interesting. Was it Oscar Wilde who said, the greatest sin is to be boring, I think, or something like that? I'm paraphrasing. We want it to be interesting, but it's not merely interesting. You can be interesting doing puppet shows or something, but we want people to have practical value that they take out of this, all rolled into 45 minutes. Yeah. So we do take it very seriously, work on it very hard. And some years it's better than other years. I think this year is going to be great. I mean, look, I've seen the topics, I've seen the presentations. They're trying to take it to a whole new level this year. You're going to see some video animation stuff. So there's the topics, which are ultimately what matters. The great presenters, very, very important. But then there's the sort of production quality of the thing. And RSAC, they are top notch when it comes to producing a high value show. The team there is incredible. You've seen the screens, Sean, right?
Oh yeah,
giant screens. That I don't know what that costs. It's probably $5 or $10 million for that screen. And then behind this, well, first of all, those screens, they throw off so much heat. It must require some small nuclear reactor or some dam somewhere that just pushes enough electricity because they're hot. The technology is probably 10 years old. It's pushing off a lot of heat. Also behind there's a small city of producers that put this whole thing up and switching the screens and such. And then there's a stage manager who's amazing. She's just an incredible person. So they run a great show, but fundamentally it's the content that matters, and that's what we produce and are responsible for.
Yep. I love it. And can you listed them off quickly, kind of the flow of the conversation, and maybe some color on top of that to kind of help people get a sense of what they'll see.
So we've got 5 topics, 4 presenters, and it starts with me for about 90 seconds setting the frame. We then introduce each of the panelists. Each panelist speaks for 6 minutes. There might be, we haven't finished this part yet, there might be a question from me between the panelists, or maybe not. So you got panelist 1, who then goes over what the attack is, why it's a concern, where it's headed, the damages that can be caused, and then what you can do about it. And that's at the industry level and the practitioner level to engage a CISO down to practitioner. So that's one talk, 6 minutes. Another talk, 6 minutes. Another talk, 6 minutes. Another talk, 6 minutes. Now, don't tell anyone, but I got a secret. I gave Josh Wright 8 minutes because he's doing 2 topics.
Look at that.
Right? Don't tell Rob Teeley. Last year, he did 2 topics. Well, anyway, last year it was Tim Conway did 2 topics, and I didn't give him any extra time. I only gave him 6 minutes. But this year, Josh worked a deal with me. He's getting 8 minutes. So if you got me with, let's say, 2 minutes up front, plus 8 minutes of Josh Wright, that's 10. Then you've got 3 6-minute talks, so that's 18. So we're 28 minutes in. The rest of the time, about 17 minutes, is for Q&A. And the Q&A is my favorite part because, you get to mix it up a little bit. And I tell them, I want you commenting on what each other says. And it's okay if you contradict each other respectfully, or at least have another point, a more broad point. That's good. And then we finish up and thank everybody. We walk off the stage.
And the Q&A is audience driven, right?
It is. Yeah. And the topics themselves, so the Q&A is audience driven. We try to get really meaningful stuff. We don't want light, fluffy questions. We want let's get to the heart of the things. Oh, there is one other part. I try to give everybody 1 minute at the end, and we go backwards. Maybe it's even 30 seconds at the end. It depends. But we go backwards. Just, hey, if you had to leave one thing with the audience, what would that be? It might be from your topic or maybe more general topic. So we do that. We thank everybody, and then we're done. We are doing something other this year, Sean, that's kind of new. The following morning, because our session is, I got it here, it is Tuesday, March 24th at 3:55 p.m. on the main stage. Then the following morning, I think it's at 8:30 a.m. or something, so it's early-ish. We're getting the team together, and we're going to do this little affinity session. So if you want to talk about these topics in more depth, maybe not one-on-one, but say 1-on-20 or 1-on-40, they're giving us this big room. We're going to have each of our panelists in there, and there's going to be interactive sessions with them. So that's Wednesday morning. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but you should be able to find it, about 8:30, 9 a.m., and it's to take the discussion to the next level interactively with people. Right. We don't know how many people show up. It might be, I think the room seats 80 or 100 people, but we're going to divide the room into 4 sections, one for each of our speakers, and then you can talk with them about their topic in depth.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an experiment. RSA
They probably don't call it a birds of a feather, but kind of that style, right?
It's going to have that feel. Yeah, there's a name for it. I don't know what they call it, but it's not a birds of a feather. But that'll be Wednesday morning. My big fear is what if nobody shows up for that? But, look, if it's just 20 people, it's going to be amazing. If it's 80 people, it's going to be even more amazing. But we don't know. We don't know. So
it is what it is, and I think those who want to learn and take action, they'll show up.
I hope so.
And,
now that I think about it, I should remind people on Tuesday to say, if you really like this and want to meet these folks individually, come to the session tomorrow. See? Yeah. Sean, thank you for making me think of that. Yes.
There you go. Well, I'll if we can dig it up before this gets produced, I'll include the link to where people can find it. So let's wrap with this, Ed. So is there one thing, 10 years, is there one thing that strikes you from this year's content that kind of looks different, smells differently from the last 10 years? Or you're like, we didn't really, and I don't know, I don't want to say it's going to be the 2-letter word, but
it is. Can I put it out there, though, and let me tell you why? Okay, so
all right.
In the past, go back to way back to 2023, right? It was in November of 2022 that OpenAI introduced ChatGPT that really shocked us all, saying this thing passes the Turing test. This is really interesting. It's got its limitations, it's got its flaws, but wow, they changed the world. November of 2022. We did, springtime 2023, RSAC, and I got all these people saying, it's got to have some AI, it's got to have some AI. So there was like one of our topics, I think, then that had AI. And then 2024, there was one or two. I think it might have been 2 topics. And then 2025, it was 2 topics. Now, here's the deal. And again, I'm sorry if everybody's sick of hearing AI, but it's really important now. Now, so here, you will find that all of our topics involve AI this year. I don't know who was supposed to say that. But here's the thing.
They may.
They may. It could be, hypothetically speaking. If I were to tell you, here's a major trend happening in cybersecurity, and there wasn't an AI aspect to it, I would be lying to you. Even if it's not directly AI related, AI is involved in some way in the attacker's craft in refining that. Look, none of the topics is going to be password cracking. I promise you that, okay? Right. However, good password cracking now involves AI to create the guesses so everything touches on AI, and AI touches on everything. So, when I first started talking with the team about what their topics were going to be, and they're all coming back and there's an AI component of each, I started to say, look, can one of you do something that's not AI related? And the answer came back, AI touches everything. Now, some of the topics we're going to have are not directly AI, but we are going to talk about how AI is accelerating that topic, because that's the way it works. And one other area, worth keeping in mind is AI specifically for vulnerability research and discovery of zero-day flaws in code. I was at a conference, it was last week in San Francisco, called Unprompted. Great conference. It was for AI cybersecurity practitioners. And there was a presentation by Google there and a presentation by Anthropic. And they talked about how in the near term, they're expecting a huge number of vulnerabilities like we've never seen in this industry. This will be my 30th RSAC conference, my 30th DEF CON coming up this summer. 30 years I've been going. But the points of these presenters from Google and Anthropic is we've never seen anything like this for vulnerabilities. Google was talking about how short-term it's going to be pretty bad, and long-term it's going to be much more safe and secure from a software perspective. Anthropic said it's going to be really bad, really soon. Lots more vulnerabilities than we've ever seen. 0-day in critical things. So it might, we're optimized. We built our system so that maybe you get 1 or 2 0 days a month, maybe 3 that you got to patch for pretty quickly. On a really bad month, there might be 4 of them. Imagine if you have 4 of them on a Monday, and then a Tuesday you've got 10, and then Wednesday you've got 13, and Thursday's a quiet day, you only have 2. And then Friday, they hit you with 20 because they took Thursday and rested. Mm-hmm. But the ability to use AI to analyze source code and find flaws was what Google's talk was on. They haven't posted the talks publicly, but they said they will. But the Unprompted conference, the Google talk and the Anthropic talk, I encourage everybody to watch. The Google people referred to it as the Vulnpocalypse. vulnapocalypse. And the Anthropic presenter, and I'm sorry I don't have their names off the top of my head, but the Anthropic presenter said, right now, AI, when analyzing source code, is as good a vulnerability researcher as the best human vulnerability researchers in the planet. And he said,
that's
soon.
a statement.
It's a big statement, but wait. He said, soon, in a matter of months, AI vulnerability research using source code to find flaws will be better than all human vulnerability researchers together. And that's coming in a matter of months. That's why they're talking about, we're expecting to see major security flaws. I saw a tweet from Phil Venables. Many know Phil. He's been a CISO for many years. He's now an investor, does amazing things, and works with incubators and such. He tweeted, based on these talks that I just mentioned here, he said that he's never been more optimistic in the long term of, having good secure software. And at the same time, never more pessimistic in the short term about how tough things are going to get in the next year or so. So, be on the lookout for that. It was just really incredible. There's this thing in the sort of zeitgeist. And even in my own company, we are using frontier AI models to analyze source code and finding all kinds of 0 days. I mean, it's unbelievable. One of my folks on my team just 2 days ago found a 0 day in a pretty major piece of software, open source software, contacted the team. They said, this is a critical bug. We're going to issue a patch in 2 weeks. And that was just feeding a frontier model with clever prompting, source code, and boom, it found the thing. And we're doing that in our...
And smart people validating.
And smart people validating with the help of the AI. With the help of the AI. Yeah. Hey, can you create an exploit for this? And it does. So, this is something that people need to be aware of and up their patching game better than it ever has. The gentleman at Anthropic, and I'm sorry, I should know his name, he said, everybody's talking post-quantum. Post-quantum this, post-quantum that. Everybody's spending a lot of money on post-quantum. The government says by 2030, you got to be ready for post-quantum, blah, 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 all this stuff. U.S. government, that is. And he said, that is a problem. That is a concern. The industry is responding smartly to that. But that's a problem that may or may not be 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 15 years from now. In other words, we don't really know when they're good. The quantum cryptanalysis will get good enough to blow away our common crypto algorithms today. It's on the path for that, but it's hard to predict exactly when that'll happen. Say 5 years, maybe 10, maybe 15. I saw somebody yesterday who said 15 years. I'm like, I think that's a little long. But I'm not a physicist. Who knows?
There you go.
But the guy from Anthropic said this. We know that this vulnerability analysis capability will be available in AI models used by us and our enemies in the next year or less, and organizations are not ready to roll patches quick enough.
So that's mind-blowing, and I'm going to bring it back to your session. Do the tips from each of the 4 across the 5 topics include AI?
They do, both on the offense and the defense. And again, I'm sorry, it's the 2 letters and this and that, but you're going to see, here's the thing.
That's the reality, sadly.
It's the reality, and you're going to see
happily, whatever, yeah.
very unique takes from each of our 4 panelists. And this, I told you sometimes they have slight disagreements and contradictions with each other. You're going to see that in what you could do with AI and how you can leverage it. And that's good, because it'll make all of the people who see the session, your listeners and audience, more well-informed about where things are, where they're headed, and what the debate is all about.
So good, Ed. I think, as I don't normally do this, but the title for this is going to be something like, you're tired of hearing about AI, but you want to hear this topic about it.
And it's a different take. It'll be a very different take. Yeah.
Yeah. Ed, it's always good to see you, my friend. I'm looking forward to catching up with you in person in San Francisco, and to catching the keynote stage, the 5 most dangerous new attack techniques, crucial tips for defenders, Tuesday, March 24th, 3:55. Don't miss it. It's a good session and a good group of people. Ed, thanks a million for taking the time to share with me and have this chat about the session and more. And thanks everybody for listening, and please do stay tuned, itsvmagazine.com/RSAC for all of our coverage. There's going to be a ton, and I don't know, we might have some AI stuff in there beyond this one. We'll see. We'll see. Thanks, everybody.